5 dirt bike maintenance items that you're probably not doing. Hey, what's up guys, Rado here, and today we are going to talk about the most neglected dirt bike maintenance. We compiled a list of 5 items, 5 things that people usually don't do. They overlook it or they do a really bad job. It's not only my experience, I consulted with a lot of people from the industry, my friends, and all together we have about 100 years combined experience. Dirt bike builders, engine builders, even the factory mechanics, and bunch of guys. I put together this list and we went through it and we came up with the 5 things that we've seen most of the time that are overlooked, neglected, and the bikes are suffering because of that. Hey, before we start, don't forget that if you are working on your bike, you can get almost everything from your local dealer. So support your local dealer, shop locally. If you want to know what they have in stock, you can jump on PureMoto.com. You can search your local dealer inventory online, and then you can drive down and pick up what you need. All right, my friends, so item number 1, and this is definitely the most neglected thing that we've seen across the board, all the people we talk to, is bearings on your dirt bikes. The steering stem bearing, the linkage bearings, and the bearings in your swing arm. I know, these are the items that you never see. You buy your bike, everything is closed, everything is inside, you never see it, you don't hear about it, so you don't really do anything about it very often. And many times, even when you buy a brand new bike, and you're expecting that this is a brand new bike, it should be in a great condition, you're not supposed to care about these things, but even the brand new bikes coming out of the showroom floor when you buy a brand new bike, they are not greased properly. They are not greased the way that I would grease my bike when I do the build. They don't have enough grease, they don't have grease in the places that they're supposed to be. They do have a little bit of grease, but it's not done properly. This is the number 1 thing that people really don't do, especially in your steering bearings. Like, those bearings are not working really hard. The thing about it, how often do you really use your steering? It's not something that you are using like your swing arm. Just think about swing arm doing the movement all the time when you ride. The steering usually stays straight, right? So there is no reason why the steering bearings shouldn't last you 10, 15, 20 years. If you take a good care of them, they should last you 20 years, no problem. So that means you take it apart twice a year and you check the packing. You check if the bearing is dirty, if the bearing has enough grease. Then if it is dirty, clean it, pack it newly. You can use that old school technique, pack it, do everything nicely, make sure you have grease back, put it back together, and then when you wash your bike, after you are done with pressure washer, get your compressed air and blow everything out. Make sure that you have no water in those bearings, so the water is causing a damage. And if you live in the countries or in the states in America that you have a lot of rain and you're doing a lot of river crossing, then all your bearings are suffering a lot, even in your wheel bearings, your linkage bearing, your swing arm bearing, and all that. And I would say that the bearing that is working the most and is the smallest one is probably the swing arm bearings. It's instantly moving. When the suspension is working, when you are riding the bike, that swing arm is always moving, right? So those 2 bearings are working really hard. And just think about it. Once those swing arms bearings are rusted and they're seized, they don't work properly, how can your shock work properly? How can you get the smooth action in your rear suspension if the pivot points are not working properly? So do yourself a favor. Pay attention to your bearings, grease them, clean them, pack them, and make sure that you look at them at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, to make sure that your bike will run for a long time properly and that you will have no funny squeaks, no sticking in your suspension, in your steering, and it will work the way it's supposed to. All right, number 2, definitely the thing that people neglect the most, number 2 is your drivetrain. Front sprocket, rear sprocket, and the chain. We've seen some horror pictures. I'm going to share some. We've seen some terrible pictures when the teeth on the sprocket are actually bent one way, or they are completely missing, they are broke off, or they are like grinded off. Really, really terrible pictures. You should never ever let your bike go to that point. So you should actually go and check your chain. There is a specific way how to check your chain. So this is a chain that is still in a really good shape, and if you grab it in the back of a sprocket and you try to pull it, there is like almost no slack. It's not really moving that much. This is the bike that has just been built, and everything chain and the sprocket is in really good shape. The teeth look the same as a brand new sprocket. They are not thinner, they are not leaning one way, they're in a good shape, and also we have a new front sprocket, so this is good. But I'm going to show you my WR450. All right, this is WR450 that I'm going to build soon. This is the bike that I didn't touch yet, and look at this chain. You see this chain is moving in the back. You do have a slag here. It still doesn't look terrible, but definitely time to replace it. So you see the difference between this chain. So if your chain is moving, it's time to replace it. So once you find out that your chain has some slag and your teeth on the sprockets are not the way they were before, they are getting a little bit thinner, maybe they're even changing the angle, it's time to replace it. And don't replace just one thing that looks the worst, replace everything altogether, front, rear sprocket, and the chain. If you don't do that, if you let it go too far, something catastrophic can happen. You can actually get really hurt and it can be really ugly. Just imagine you're going up that step up or the double, you are committing, you are on the gas and you are trusting your bike that you will have enough speed and clear the gap or do whatever you need to do on the jump. And right on the takeoff, your chain snaps. You lose all the momentum, the engine stops pulling. So once you go off the phase of the jump, you just dip your front end and there is nothing you can do. You can do panic rev as much as you want. Nothing will bring your front end up. You're gonna crash and it's not gonna be nice. It's gonna be ugly, collarbone, whatever, break your leg, your arm, whatever. I don't know what would happen, but something really ugly if you let that chain go too long and if it snaps in the bad spot. If it snaps on the straightaways, yeah, you're not gonna get killed or injured, most likely. But if it snaps in the straightaways or anywhere else, what we've seen also many times, that chain will actually get gathered by the front sprocket and it will get together and then it will break the case. So the chain, when it snaps, it can break your case and then it can damage your engine to the point that you need to get new case, sometimes even brand new engine, if it's like case that is hard to find or is too expensive or I don't know. So you really don't want that to happen. You want to avoid it before it gets to that point. So you make sure that your chain is in good condition, that your sprockets are in good condition, and also that your chain has a good slag. It's not too tight and it's not too loose. If it's too tight, then imagine what's going to happen. If your chain is too tight, you have your front sprocket and your rear sprocket, and when your suspension is working up and down, what's happening is that when the wheel goes up, the chain is getting tighter. The tension is getting tighter, right, on the chain. That's why when the bike just sits, your chain is a little bit loose, because you need to have the slag, because the tightness in the chain is changing as the suspension is moving up and down. So if it's too tight, then imagine the front sprocket, when it goes up, the chain will pull on the front sprocket like this. It will pull on it, it'll put a lot of pressure on the bearing, on the transmission, and it can eventually damage all these components. So you can, with the super tight chain, you can damage your engine, damage your transmission, and you can cause a lot of trouble to your engine. If it's too loose, again, you are wearing out the components too quickly. So make sure that you follow your manual. Usually it's 3 fingers, so right there on the swing arm. I usually do that. But check your manual. Some bikes are a little bit different. New KTMs, they need to have a little bit bigger slag, I think. So check the manual once, write it somewhere on the wall in your garage. This is how much slag I need to have in the chain, and before you go having fun on the track or trail, check your slag, make sure that it's done properly. All right, number 3 is actually the most important part of the dirt bike handling, that everybody says that the bike runs so good if this one thing is in order and works with you, and that's your suspension. So yes, you can spend a lot of money to get your suspension dialed in, and I would definitely recommend to do that. Get a suspension dialed in for your weight, your riding style, and your skills. But after that, you also need to keep that suspension working properly. And here comes the things that people usually overlook and neglect. So thing number 1, when you install your forks into your triple clamps, you don't want to go too tight on those bolts on the triple clamps. There is specific torque that you need to follow. Again, follow your manual that will tell you exactly 12 Newton meters, 17 Newton meters. Each bike is a little bit different, but kind of similar. So follow that recommendation 100%. Because if you go too tight, some people just think, oh yeah, I just have to make it tight. You know, when I took my YZ125 apart, I'll show you the video. The bottom triple clamps were so tight, and when I was taking the bolt out, I actually snapped the bolt. That's how tight it was. And because of that, I actually had to rebuild the fork completely. It was more expensive than normal because I had internal damage on my forks. So what happens is that when the fork is squeezed too much by your triple clamp, then everything that is moving inside in the fork, is you know, squeezing too much, there is a friction, and then it just getting damaged as the suspension works up and down every single time you go on some bump, right? So first of all, it's not working properly. There is this binding element in it, and then it's damaging internally. So you need to rebuild it. Sooner or later, you will have damage that you need to rebuild. So first of all, pay attention that you do torque those lower triple clamps properly, and also the upper, but lower are more important because they're actually squeezing the part where the suspension is moving through. Now the second thing of the suspension is that people often would make a mistake installing their front wheel. So here I have these little things to help us. So let's just imagine these are my forks, and you see how they need to run straight down, so the distance between them on the bottom and on the top is the same. They shouldn't be running like this, and they shouldn't be running like that, right? You see, they should be always straight. So that's why on the bottom, on your axle, there's this part on the right side where your fork actually slides to the side, maybe like 1 centimeter each side it can go. So it's made that way because you need to let that fork sit in its happy place. What I mean by that is that it wants to sit where it's 100% straight. It doesn't want to be in or doesn't want to be out. And for you to make sure that it's in the place, you need to follow the proper procedure. There are videos about how to install it. You can Google it. You can find it on YouTube. Jay Clark from Dirt Bike TV has good videos about the front wheel alignment and installation. So do that properly. People don't really change oil in a suspension. So let's say that you have it installed incorrectly, the internals are working too much, there is a lot of friction, and then oil is too old, you're causing a lot of damage to your fork, and no matter how much money you spend on the dialing it in, it will not work the way you want it to work because it's internally damaged. So then it costs way more to get it back to where it was before. So change your oil frequently, make sure you have proper torque, and make sure your front wheel is done properly. So that was for number 3. Fourth thing is something very simple, but a lot of people will do it incorrectly or not often enough. I did a video a few years ago when I was saying that you need to do your air filter every other ride or every single ride, depends how dusty it is. And some people were telling me I'm crazy. Some people were bragging how they only do it once a year. I don't recommend it. Nobody will recommend it. Every person that understands dirt bikes and engines, how they work, they really keep their filter clean, and there is few reasons for that. Number one, the dirt is single thing that is doing the most damage to your engines. So if you get little dirt, sand, dust, whatever passing through your filter to your carburetor and to your engine, that's causing a lot of wear and tear, and it can eventually grenade on you, and you will have a big, expensive repair to do. If you want your bike to run properly, if you want your jetting to be on a spot, and you really want to have that crisp bike, then you want to have it clean and oiled every single time. You know, I'm building this YZ125. Tom Morgan built the engine for me, bore it out, 134, cut the head, did all the porting and all that good stuff. And I was discussing with him what kind of jetting to use on my stock carburetor. And he was asking me what oil I'm using for the air filter. Because if I'm using Bel-Ray, it's a little more sticky, so there is less air that will flow through the filter. If I'm using Maxima, then yes, there is more air that will go through the filter. That's why I will need a little bit bigger jets on the main jet. So even the brand of your oil is affecting how your bike is running. Don't take it from me, take it from Tom Morgan. So even if that thing is affecting how your bike runs, now imagine how much more the filter that is clogged, plagued, 50% with the dirt and all that. Item number 5 that we see very often that people don't do properly is your engine maintenance. And that's something that we all should be doing when you ride a dirt bike. You can't just ride it without touching it, right? You need to wash it all the time and go through the maintenance, oil changes, all that good stuff. But many people think that those intervals could be longer, and they wouldn't do it on time, and then something bad, catastrophic will happen. They will grenade, and it's too late. They have big damage to their engine. So for the 2-strokes, if you're running 2-stroke 125 and lower, just imagine that piston working really hard, small piston working really hard, high RPM, giving you a lot of power. You usually keep it wide open, you just clutch that thing, right, all the time when you ride it. So a lot of damage happening to your top end. Follow the manual, maybe add a little bit on it. If they say 15 hours, maybe you can go 20, 30 hours. Depends how you ride and how you keep it wide open, how much you abuse that engine. But definitely don't run your 125 small bore engine for more than 30, 40, 50 hours. I would really never do that. Even my son, who's not really on the pipe, we're gonna do a new piston soon. He has like 37 hours on his 85. When we hit 40, 45, definitely putting new top end in his YZ85. So definitely keep that fresh. If you don't do that, then the ring will catch somewhere in the cylinder, and then you have to replate the cylinder. Now we are spending a lot of money. You are comparing maybe 200 bucks or 150 bucks top end, and then if you have to do all your plating, the cylinder, and then maybe even more damage you do to your engine once that piston cracks or just goes something wrong, then you're looking at way more money. So stay on the top of your top end on a two-stroke. Yes, if you have a bigger two-stroke, 250, 300 off-road two-strokes, yeah, maybe you can put 100 hours, 150 hours on that piston. Again, it's not expensive to replace it. It's not a hard job. You can probably do it at home if you're a little bit handy, follow some YouTube videos, and you can do it on your own, save a lot of money, save a lot of headaches, and make sure that that thing is fresh all the time. Now for the four-strokes, the most important part of the four-stroke is don't let any air, the dirty air, get into. So keep your filter fresh. The dust will do a lot of damage, wear and tear on the piston, on the cylinder, that will eventually lead into failure, and something bad will happen. It will grenade, and something bad can happen to your engine. The piston will come to shake your hand when you ride. So you don't want that to happen, right? So you want to keep that air filter clean, and you don't want any dust getting into your engine, and you want to keep your oil fresh. And do the frequent oil changes. 4 hours, don't go more than that, especially if you're riding a motocross bike. Four-stroke motocross bike, just imagine all that power you're getting from that small engine, 250, 350, or even 450. That thing is working hard for you to have fun, right? And the same oil is everywhere. Those particles from the clutch, and you are, abusing that clutch, sometimes coming out of those corners, you're slipping the clutch. So those little particles are getting into oil, making that oil dirty, and then that same oil goes through everything, gets on the piston and all the components in the engine. It's different than a two-stroke. On a two-stroke, I would go a little bit longer, not more than 10 hours probably, 8 hours, also depends who rides and how, that two-stroke. But on the four-stroke, 4 hours, do that oil change. Every other oil change, do the oil filter, do your fresh air filter, and make it run fresh, make it run proper, and make it last long time. Once you reach that 100, 150 hours, put new top end in a four-stroke engine, check your valves, check your timing chain, check your bottom end, make sure everything is still good, adjust what needs to be adjusted, put it back together, and enjoy it for another 100, 150 hours. I have 126 hours on my 350, and it runs amazing, and I do the maintenance all the time, on time. Everything is fresh in that thing, and it runs amazing. I'm gonna put new tab in maybe next 20 hours because I want to, because it's time, 150. I'm not gonna wait until I feel that bike is losing power, or I'm not gonna wait until something bad happens. All right, my friends, so that's about it. Take care of your bikes, and they will take care of you. Stay on the top of maintenance, your bearings, your air filter, your suspension, your chain, sprocket, and your engine and your oil, all that. Keep it fresh, keep it always lubricated, keep it clean, wash your bike, blow all the water from those little places, little bearing on your steering stem, on your linkage, everywhere. Make it fresh, touch everything on the bike so you know that you did it, that you know that it's done, and the bike will run long time, will take care of you. All right, my friends, well, that's about it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think is the most neglected part of the maintenance, what you've seen in your practice, in your 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of the dirt bike fun that you had. And also let me know how many of these items are on your list that you skip sometimes. And don't forget, my friends, whatever you do, stay motivated. See you guys later.